Yo guys, what's going down? It's MC Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. Today we are doing another stream about the brand new upcoming TT Isles of Man ride on the Edge 2. And I've got a little bit of exciting news for you bike fans regarding this stream. So I was actually scrolling down Facebook earlier today, and what I spoke about a couple of weeks back was actually true, and classic bikes are actually confirmed in the Isle of Man TT Ride on the Edge 2. So they put a post up a couple of weeks back just confirming some stuff about the game and some of the bug fixes and stuff. They were making a change from number one, and there was a picture of a classic bike, and it got me like wondering, does this confirm classic bikes? I even put a comment on the post and said, you know, is classic bikes confirmed? And a couple of people liked the post, but no one actually replied and said yeah it is or no it isn't. But it looks like the people who are in development with the game actually come out and stated a post, which I'm going to get up for you guys in just a second, but it's confirming classic bikes, and they posted this very picture, which is actually a picture of Michael Hailwood 1978 with the Ducati 900. So that does actually confirm that we are going to be riding, we're going to be able to ride the Michael Hailwood bike, the Ducati 900, which is absolutely fantastic. But this post says, experience vintage racing with the addition of the classic bikes to TT Isles of Man region in the Norton NSR 588, Suzuki XR69, Yamaha TZ750 and more on March the 19th. So it actually does get released on a Thursday, just does this game. Now I've got a couple of things actually happening round that weekend and the weekend after, so I won't be actually getting this game on the day release. And although, you know, I stated from the off that I wasn't going to be like, you know, jumping to get this game on the day release anyway, but having the classic bikes does make me want to get this game, because classic bikes is just something that adds a little bit more. And I think really that, you know, it was them bikes what really sort of made the TT circuit sort of in a way what it is today. You know, them bikes went round it years ago, and I think, you know, although you can jump on these really fast modern bikes and, you know, do such an incredible speed, the bikes from years ago did an amazing job, and they still obviously run at the Manx Grand Prix today. And it will be really, really cool to get this game when it comes out and play with the classic bikes. So I've got number one, Ben, but I haven't got number two. Obviously it's not out yet, but number one was a really fun game, to be honest with you. If ever you want to have a go on it, I'll bring it to yours sometime with my PS4. But it's a really good game. You know, the graphics are absolutely fantastic. I mean, how they went ahead and, you know, made the whole circuit and how realistic and how good it looks was just absolutely fantastic. And the detail, like I say, to everything, you know, including signposts, shop signs, petrol stations. It was just you know, it was an absolutely fantastic game, but there was just a few things that just lacked within, you know, the way you control the bike and stuff, which I got used to it personally. I didn't find it too much of an issue, but a lot of people complained about it. But the only thing I would say that really let down number one is the fact they didn't really do anything with the game really after the release. They did a few bug fixes, they gave us sidecars, and that was, you know, they left the game really. And I think that's where it kind of got let down, because, you know, on the PS2 when we had the original TT games, you know, it was kind of okay to just make a new game and make a better version. But when we're on the PlayStation 4, when we're in the modern technology of what we have today, you know, you can update games to make them better, and you can just bring out DLCs. I mean, I'm not highly being funny, but they could have easily have made a DLC to number 1 that would have included these bikes. And, you know, they could have done so much bug fixes. They could have even done DLCs that would have included new tracks. Like I say, new abilities, new options, you know, new customizations for your riders, you know, new game modes and stuff like that. They could have done a lot more to this game to make it more fun. I remember back in the PS2 TT games, you could do game modes where it would put the traffic on. You had to race, you had to try and avoid the traffic. Now I know as such, you know, this game was trying to go for more realism, and obviously in the real bikes don't ride with the vehicles on the road, but I think, you know, having the arcadey fun aspect about racing games are also fun, as well as having the realism. And there was some really good game modes you could do, like fastest laps, time trials on the PS2 ones, and I just felt that the first one just kind of got left out once it got released. It was kind of like it sort of in a way reminded me of a PS2 game with better graphics, like, because obviously PS2 games you weren't getting, you know, updates, you weren't getting DLCs, you know. If something weren't right, you know, they made a brand new game and they fixed up on what went wrong with the first game. And that's kind of what TT Isles of Man are really doing by making a Ride on the Edge 2. And although classic bikes are tempting me to buy this game, I still just really think what's going to be a difference between number 1 and number 2 could have just been an update for number 1. In my personal opinion, but then again, I will know more once playing number 2. Maybe I'll play number 2 and think, yeah, I'm glad they made it as a number 2 and didn't just add this to number 1, for example. But the way I'm picturing it right now, like, I don't think there's going to be any new tracks. I don't think there's going to be anything really too much different other than, you know, fixed handling, a few graphical updates, and, you know, adding some different bikes. And like I say, I think them could have really been done during an update, if I'm completely honest with you. But I'm still looking forward to the game. No, nevertheless, I am a fan of motorbike racing games, and, you know, even maybe if there wasn't classic bikes, I would have probably still tried TT Ride on the Edge number 2 at some point anyway, when it probably dropped like way down in price, or if I saw someone selling it cheap, I would have probably just bagged it up to, you know, see what it's all about. But number 1, I did get it relatively close to release, and like I say, I enjoyed number 1. I had fun playing it, and, you know, I still play it from time to time. I still enjoy it. A lot of people just say it's a rubbish game. Some people have never played it and just think, I'm not playing it, it's going to be rubbish. Some people just aren't really into bikes and don't really play bike games. But if you are a bike lover, number 1 was definitely a really good simulation of the course. But like I say, number 2 is set to show up on the 19th of March for the PS4, the Xbox One and the PC, and I believe it's coming to the Nintendo Switch later on. But I think this game would be a wicked game. Imagine if this game supported VR. Now imagine putting a VR helmet on and being sat, literally looking like you're actually sat on the bike, and then literally, you know, like them bikes that you sit on in like an arcade. Imagine being sat on one of them, having a VR headset on, and literally just going round the course, and actually having to tilt where the actual, you know, like you were actually on the bike, and having this VR headset on. Because one thing I will credit for the original version of this game was the sense of speed. When you were going fast, when you were, you know, raking up 150, 160, down a straight within the game, within number one version of the game. You know, the sense of speed was fantastic. Like, if you're in a VR headset, that would look so awesome, and I think you would actually get goosebumps. Like, you would actually feel as if you are actually going that fast, because it'd be absolutely mad having a VR headset on and actually going ahead and doing that. You know, actually going ahead and playing that game. That would just be absolutely phenomenal. Now, there would actually be a way to play this game in VR, which would be absolutely mint if you could play this game upon VR, and that would actually be if you were to get the remote play app for a phone and use one of them phone VR headsets, and literally you would then go in first person mode, and it would kind of feel like you are actually immersed within the game. But them phone headsets, they're not, you know, VR headsets are not, like, in my eyes, they're not all they're cracked up to be. But yeah, I think if they actually made this support VR, even if you just put a headset on and still used the controller, I think this game would be absolutely wicked in VR. Like I said, the sense of speed and actually feeling like you are sat on the bike, that would just be something I think that would be incredible to this game. But nevertheless, it looks like what I was talking about the other week with the classic bikes is actually true, and we are actually getting classic bikes, which is wicked. So we're going to get Nortons, we're going to get NSRs, we're going to get classic Suzukis. There's going to be more as well, so I'm hoping there's like Gold Stars and Sealeys and stuff like that, because a lot of them bikes were in the classic eras as well. I hope we get some Tritons, some Triumphs and stuff like that. Just some real good old classic bikes that would have gone round in the 60s and stuff like that, and, you know, still go around the track today. Like I say, we get Michael Aylwood's bike, which is going to be absolutely wicked, is 1978. And like I say, you can pre-order the game, and yeah, it's going to just be absolutely wicked. So Mike the bike, so there we are, the true legend of the TT. He's won 14 times, so we're getting to ride his bike, obviously. But yeah, I'm also wondering what they're going to sound like as well, because classic bikes, some of them Nortons have a really raw, really proper nice sound when you hear them go around. So it'd be interesting to see how they actually do this within the game. Number one had some quite good bike sounds, especially some of the Triumphs sounded wicked, absolutely sounded wicked. I just cannot wait to actually give this, you know, it's just going to be absolutely fantastic. But I thought I'd make a little stream, tell you guys that this has been confirmed by the actual official game itself. They put it on Facebook, and it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. But as far as a wish list, like, I just want to talk a little bit about what I would like to see going forward with this game. Things that I would like to see. Classic bikes was obviously one of them, but that sort of that got confirmed. Now, one thing which I don't think will ever happen, you know, if they make a number 3 even, I don't think we'll ever get any more real life racetracks. Now, real life racetracks to me would have been wicked if we could have had like the, you know, the whole road racing experience. For example, Northwest 200, Ulster GP, Oliver's Mount. And the thing that kind of guts me about this is, back on one of the PS2 games, they actually made all of these racetracks. They made them official. They made them, every track, that was, every sort of road racing track. I've got the game on the shelf behind me, and it kind of always in a way made me a little bit gutted that we don't have this, that that a game to this day makes up made up tracks. Like, you would have thought years ago that a PS2 game would have made the made up tracks, and then something a little more modern, say in years to come, would have then filled in and put the real tracks in, but they didn't, and I just don't understand why. But I don't think we'll ever see anything as far as sort of like that really goes. I think that would be something that we would probably never see as far as stuff like that goes. Another thing that I'd really like to see is being able to make custom fairings and liveries for your bikes. I think being able to put your own sponsors on, have your own names on your own bike liveries, I think would be absolutely fantastic. I think it would be like absolutely wicked to do stuff like that, be able to put your own logos and things on, being able to sort of like make the bike more yours, rather as well as being able to just ride like the big star bikes. So sort of being able to personalise your own rider to your taste as well. And I think another cool thing that would be quite good to make happen as well is turning on an option which would make different scenarios happen. So, for example, you could turn on this option which would be called something like different scenarios, and let's say you were like halfway around the course doing a lap, you could have a fault with your bike. So for example, something like the engine could go bang, you could break down, for example, and you would, let's say, have to wait so long for somebody to, like a travelling marshal to come, or someone to look at your bike and try and get you back in the race. And for example, that could maybe lose your time, that could maybe lose your points, and then let's say they get you back going, then you've got to try and make that time up again. And another thing that they added in number 1, I should think they'll put it in number 2, was running out of fuel. I thought that was a really cool little thing. Do a couple of laps, you had to go in the pits, otherwise you would obviously run out of fuel. I think another cool thing as well would be to go in the pits and swap to a spare bike. So if you have like a bit of an issue with your bike and you're pulling at the pits, they have another bike ready for you. You jump on it and bang, you set off, and you obviously do a lap, etc. And I think another thing that would be quite cool, I don't know if this would go down quite well, but if they added another sort of simulation mode to this game where you could actually play as the travelling marshal, I think that would be like really cool. If you had to like put flags out and do sort of like what a marshal would do. I don't know if that would really go down well in a game. I know if that mode came out, I would play that mode because I think that would be quite cool. But some people maybe would just prefer to stick to riding bikes, because that is mainly really what the game is all about. But imagine having to sort of like attend to broke down bikes and stuff, and or if there's an accident, and sort of like get the bike to the side obviously of the road, etc. But I think something like that would be really cool, and especially like again with the scenarios, I think it would just add to the realism. But being able to have it on and off would be quite cool, because I could imagine, say you do 2, 3, 4 laps or something, and then the scenario decides to make you break down or something, and let's say you couldn't get back in the race. It would obviously annoy people, obviously if they did have a good set time, etc. If they had gone round the lap around the track and they were keeping good time, or they were in first place or something. That would be a really, really cool thing to do. But you know, like I say, like it would get annoying getting that far on and doing that well, and then suddenly realising, oh bang, you know, it's gone. Everything I've done, you know, my bike's broke down. But then to real riders, that can happen. You know, real riders can go around and have a wicked lap time, go absolutely fantastic up on the you know, up on the bikes and stuff like that, and then they could just suddenly realise that everything they wanted to do, everything they'd done had just been wiped off and taken away by a bike breaking down. And like I say, these things happen. That is something that obviously happened, and stuff like that, which is absolutely fan-dabby-dozy. So real quickly, I just want to talk about some old games that will probably never come to the PlayStation 4, which I think is a little bit of a real letdown. Now I could go on for ages talking about different games, but I just thought I would actually list a few while we were on stream. So first up, we actually have a music generator game. Now these were around on the PS1 and the PS2, known as NTV Music Generator. Now I've got number 3, and no, it's one of my all-time favourite. I think it is, to be fair, my all-time favourite PS2 game that was ever made. And it was just wicked. You could remix songs, you could make songs, and although we do have a game on the PS4 called Dreams, it never really has the feel of what this game was. This game was almost like a mini FL Studio, but obviously like way less advanced. Like, you know, it was a bit like a Dan CJ, and it was just really cool. You could make beat samples, you could place all these beats down, you could get all these vocals and remix your own tracks, and it was just absolutely wicked. But imagine a game like this on the PS4. We get updates, they bring new vocals in, they bring new samples, or imagine like having DLC sample packs that you could buy, and you could get all different like genres of music, and you could buy all these different beat packs from what real artists had even possibly put together out of like beats that they make for their tracks. And imagine having like getting like vocals and being able to remix your own tracks, and you know, adjust all the BPM and add all these pianos in and all these instruments, and you know, imagine making rock songs and dance music songs, and just imagine making beats. And then, like I say, we've got the ability to stream, we've got the ability to take pictures and videos on our PlayStation 4, so we could do that. And then imagine sort of like a library, or like an area where you could go to, and you could actually listen to what other people have made, or you could invite people into your studio to listen to your track, and then they could play your track. Or you could do maybe like a co-op mode where like 2 people could work on a track at the same time over a headset. Imagine like someone working on a beat, the other person working on a melody, and just think how like wicked that would actually sound, and how good this game could be. But unfortunately, I think these games are a thing of the past, and I think, if I'm honest, like that sort of stuff like will just stick with FL Studio and obviously PC. So next up is the Getaway Black Monday. Now, well, the Getaway itself. The Getaway was a wicked game. It had a lot of people tried to compare it to a rip-off of Grand Theft Auto, but it was such a unique game. We had London, we had all the UK cars, you know, Vauxhall Corsas, Astras, you know, there was Vauxhall vans and stuff like that we could drive. You know, all these like cars you would actually see around London. Back in them days, it was the London Police. You know, you went onto these like council estates and flats and do shootouts, and everything was just so nostalgic, and just it felt like real life, if I'm honest, like playing this game, jumping in a transit van, driving around the streets of London, going past KFCs and McDonald's and seeing all these shops that were in your high streets, Boots and stuff like that. It just had a really wicked aim of the aim of the game. The fact that the indicator was kind of your what do you call it, your sort of like waypoint that like showed you, your navigation to get to each mission, and just imagine like what we could do now graphically wise. I mean, look at Grand Theft Auto 5, like pulling out cell phones and ringing people, and imagine just all the stuff you could do with the game now if they were to make a newer version. But unfortunately, I don't think that would obviously ever happen, as the Getaway 3 did actually get cancelled, but unfortunately I don't think it will ever come back. Someone might make a new game like that's going to be like set around the same thing, but I think as far as the Getaway franchise goes, I think them games are going to be long gone. And next up we have Stuntman. Stuntman was an absolutely wicked game. I've still got a copy on the PS2 somewhere, and it's just, it's fantastic. This game was just wicked. Just going around the streets and doing these like movie scenes, and imagine what you could do now. Imagine 2020 PS4, how much advanced people could make these games now that don't actually make them. And finally, last but not least, is DJ Hero. Now this game disappointed me to the fact that they never made any more sequels to it, because we have a fair few Guitar Heroes. I think we got up to Guitar Hero 5, I think, and then we got Guitar Hero Live, obviously on the PS4, sorry. And DJ Hero, in my opinion, could have been so much better if they kept working with it. And different things. And I mean, the game itself, like the DJ Heroes that we have and that we obviously play today, are wicked. Like, you can't fault them. And it was just absolutely, just absolutely wicked. It was almost like you were actually mixing, and you were pressing these buttons and you were scratching, and the remixes they had on these games were just absolutely fantastic. And to be honest, I really thought we were going to get like a number 3, or we were going to maybe get like some like sequels, maybe like House Music Edition, or maybe like a Drum and Bass Edition or something. Or I mean, think about it now, what they could do with this game on the PS4. DLC packs that would include new songs. Maybe new songs could be added monthly that you could buy, like on a store. Just imagine, like, if they made a brand new controller, how much more like better they could make this thing, and even make it more like closer to an actual like DJ controller itself, like a real one. Maybe if they went for the style of a more like sort of like CDJ looking one. So maybe like on the controller you could actually select your song a bit like you would on a real DJ controller, and depending on what was in on your library, that would sync with the little controller, and you would be able to navigate on the controller and select that track. And imagine if you actually had to like press the buttons to actually mix the two tracks together. So imagine like you press these buttons and it would like put the beat into sync, as well as like rather than just playing a track, it's stopping and then the next track starting. They could do so much with this game. All of these 3 games that I've sort of looked at could all do so well if they came back as a sequel. And there's so many other thousands of PS2 games out there and PS3 games that never got sequels. Thrillville, the theme park games, so much better. Something like Planet Coaster now on the PS4 would absolutely be wicked. Like I said, the music generation making games were just absolutely fantastic. The Driver franchise, they even made some pretty decent quality games. There was even a PS2 game called Backyard Wrestling, if anyone ever remembers it. Imagine a game like that now. So many different stuff that we could sort of like play and sort of like do now, if that makes sense. It would just absolutely be wicked. So again, I just don't think we'll ever see them. But anyway, classic bikes are coming. TT Isles of Man is coming. These games won't ever get sequels. Please like, comment, share. Peace.